I think everything he had to say is absolutely correct. I don't know about the venue. I don't know about the forum. I don't know about essentially communicating that you're not on the same page as the coaching staff when it comes to the way you should play the quarterback position. These seem like things that should be handled before you get to the podium, because we know that the Carolina Panthers are encouraging him, trying to find him weapons, trying to design protection for him that keeps him in the pocket more, because they want him to get hit less. Right. They want him to get hurt less. So it seems like you would talk about this with the coaching staff before you start addressing things and saying things like, I don't understand this, and you wouldn't do this to Tom, you wouldn't do this to Aaron.
That's fine. I agree with you if it wasn't for the fact that that was out there, that the coaching staff already put it out there. Somehow it got out there that they're going to do this, and he has to respond to it publicly if they put it out there publicly. He should not subjugate his opinion because for some reason they have some special title as coach or whatever. If they're going to put it out there, he has the right to respond to it. And as a teammate of someone like Cam Newton, that's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear him saying, oh, yeah, I'm 6'5", 270 or whatever, but I'm going to be timid this year and shy away from hitting. And what you're saying, what Jen started this with, saying they were finding more protection, that's the problem. It's not him in the running game necessarily. The problem is they haven't been able to protect him. And if you go back to that MVP season that he had, he didn't have much help. The O-line was not good. They didn't have great receivers. He put that team on his back and set records for for a quarterback at that point. And it's all because he has that ability to run. Taking that away is weird. While I don't agree with his analogy about lions roaring, because what makes a lion intimidating is not the roar. It's a bunch of other things. Although I do appreciate that he has a nice little blonde mane to go along with his lion analogy.
You know, so we don't disagree that Cam shouldn't be turned into a strictly pocket passer. It's actually the weakest part of his game. I mean, he completed 53% of his passes last year. For his career, I believe...
That's not fair, but...
Well, but it's just a fact.
Well, I mean, it's not fair to say that as a negative, because he's also someone who throws the ball down the field. It's something that plenty of teams don't do. Most quarterbacks take these short, intermediate passes and get their numbers up. Accuracy right. So I'm just saying it's not a criticism of him to say that 53%. That's not necessarily a bad
criticism. And it's one that's warranted. Just because you think someone's good doesn't mean they're above criticism.
No,
completing only 53% of your passes is bad. It's not just not good, it's bad.
So have you ever watched a game and heard the commentators say they need to throw a deep ball to loosen up the defense, whether they complete it or not?
Yeah.
Cam is doing that. So those incomplete passes have value. I agree. It'd be better if he completed 100% of his deep passes, but you can't. You know what is worse is throwing a 3-yard pass that's completed on 3rd and 9. Who cares? You improve your accuracy numbers, but that doesn't really impact the outcome of the game or influence the defense in any way. Cam Newton throwing incomplete passes deep down the field is something a lot of quarterbacks don't do, and it has value. And I resent when people throw that number out there like that means that he's inaccurate or he's bad. You can say he's inaccurate, but you can't say it's because of that number.
Well, then if it results in 53% completion, you might want to throw it downfield a little bit less. You might have loosened up the defense with your incomplete passes down 20, 30 yards downfield. The point is this, though, that's not his strength. Play to your strength. And during that 2015 MVP season that you point out, he rushed for 600 yards and 10 touchdowns, and they went to the Super Bowl. That's his strength. I firmly believe, whether it's you at this desk or you on the football field, me at this desk or Jen, you have to play to your strengths. You have to enable and take advantage of the things that make you unique. It may, in the end, shorten Cam's career. It may, in the end, get him hurt more. But the truth of the matter is that's what makes Cam a valuable quarterback in the NFL, not his completion percentage. But back to this other thing, I think this is a fundamental disagreement you and I have. I believe that success has to have somewhat of a coherent vision and message. And usually that has to come down from on high, meaning GM to coach to quarterback to team. And if you have a disconnect where the coaches are saying one thing and the star is saying another, you have a long-term problem. You may get by with it. You may skate by. It may not come back to bite you. But more often than not, the teams that succeed, like the New England Patriots, have a coherent message. And if I hear Cam at a podium saying something or questioning different things that you're hearing differently from a coaching staff, I do think that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a fundamental disagreement that we'll always have. And I think that's why, I mean, when I'm on here, when I was on last time with Jen, there were a bunch of former players here with me, and I was kind of upset and bothered by the fact that it's persistent in the media. A lot of players get into the media and then forget that they're players and lose the player's side of the argument and how they felt when they were players. That's not me. So I still view this through the eyes of a player. And as a player, I don't care where my leadership necessarily comes from, and I don't necessarily buy into this kind of old school hierarchy that you believe that it has to come from up on high down to filter to the little people. I think leadership can come from a bunch of different places. When I played on many teams, like Ray Lewis was a big outspoken leader. I was on that team. But in the locker room, Ed Reed was kind of a leader on that team in a different way, and the way that we saw that. So I don't necessarily buy into that. And I'm not following Ron Rivera if I'm on that team. I'm following Cam Newton. So if Cam Newton has something to say, and the coach is coming out in public and saying all that, it's not a criticism of Cam, it's a criticism of them. Cam had to do that because they weren't protecting him, because they could not create a running game. It's a criticism of them in the front office, not Cam, and I'm all on board with Cam. I don't want my players to be quiet and submissive to the coaches or general managers.
Those two guys, if Ron Rivera and Cam Newton have different visions for how the quarterback position should be played, the Carolina Panthers will not be successful this season.